Hi everyone. So, mind my looks. I think I look terrible. I need to still take a shower and get to work. Mind my pimples. Firstly, ugh, I don't look very good. Firstly, my teeth. Ugh. Okay. So basically, my cat this morning was crying by the door, and like really crying by the door. So I woke up and I'm like, okay, maybe there's something outside that it's crying about. So I open the door, and I see that my other cat has returned, my Tara, but basically she's returned, but without Tourmaline, my other cat, my black cat. And so then we all did like a little search around the building. We went up to the roof. I kind of feel like we're a team, you know. Like I'm part of the cat pack, you know. It's like a weird feeling, and we all kind of communicate. You know, we can't communicate because I don't know cat language and they don't know really what I'm saying, but we all kind of, you know, we all knew what we're looking for. Tourmaline. And so we went up to the roof, we were looking around, we couldn't find Tourmaline, and it's cute how my two cats greeted each other, you know. It's just like, it looked like my Tara was relieved to be home, you know. She came home, she was just like, okay, this is my home. And she ate some food, she used the litter box, you know. And so I think they're out there for a few hours, and I don't know where they are. The two of them, I think they're still looking for Tourmaline. I have a feeling my Tourmaline, he is hiding under somewhere, and he won't come out because he's scared. But I don't know where he would be hiding, because he's really good at hiding. You know, he's like a real scaredy cat, you know. I was thinking to use my pendulum to find him, but I don't think it would work anyway. Like how a pendulum works is like you say, oh, which way is my cat, you know, and it'll swing in the direction to where they think the cat is. But so now they're still outside, and I have to go to work. It's getting late, you know. I have to go take a shower. And I have to get dressed and go to work, and so I think I'm just gonna leave my door open, even though I'm putting my house at risk, because I don't want my cats to be locked out, you know, of my house if they don't come back before I leave to work, you know. So I'm gonna leave the door open. It's like a chance you take, you know. I'll be home late at night, and because my work ends late. So so that's the story with that. Last night, basically I don't have a washing machine, and it's hard for me to get to the laundromat every day, you know, and my guinea pigs, they peed on I have like this, I put like towels out where they can like sit and just relax, you know, and they like to relax in there. Like, look, they're sleeping. You see? Under there, you see where my finger's pointing right over there. There. There's one guinea pig, there's the other guinea pig underneath. You know? So they're kind of, they're sleeping together. Not together, but they're sleeping on those towels. But they pee on it and they poop on it, which is really strange. Because, like, why would you pee in the place you sleep, you know? So, so I'm hoping they'll come back, you know? It's kind of weird leaving my door open when I'm on the ground floor, and anyone that comes up has to pass by my door, you know, to go up to their house. Whatever. I'm gonna do what I can for my cats, you know. So, basically, back to Meghan Markle. I was watching the people's opinions on her and about racism and everything, and you know, I can understand. Of course, there's racism. Of course, there's always racism. You know, I actually think that America is less racist now because of, I think it's just the media that's spinning a whole twist that America is like the most racist country in the world when half the people are biracial, you know, like half the people already intermarried and are biracial. But thinking back to when I was living in New York, basically, I remember 2 instances as a kid where I was walking down Carroll Street, and there was like this family which was actually African American, and they were sitting on their porch, and I was passing by, and they screamed, "Fucking Jew! Dirty Jew!" and they threw an orange really, really hard at me from across the street, and it splattered, you know, it splattered into a million pieces. That's how hard they threw it. And you could imagine, you know, you could imagine if that would have hit me, it would have done some damage, you know. And I was a kid, and they're screaming at me because I was like, I'm Jewish, and I was dressed like a religious person, you know. They're screaming at me that I'm a dirty Jew, these African American people, you know. So, you know, black people are not the only people that suffer from racism, you know. Jewish people suffer just as much from the African American community. You know, this might sound controversial, but it's the truth. You know, there's a lot of hatred towards the Jewish community from where I'm from. You know, they're very jealous because they're very jealous of the Jewish community because, you know, most of the Jewish community, they look like they have money. You know, not everyone has money, but the quality of life that the Jewish community lives, you know, celebrating the holidays, celebrating Shabbat with silver cup, you know, it looks kind of, you know, they get jealous, you know, and the hatred is there, you know. As much as the African American community complains about racism, sometimes they're guilty of the same thing they are complaining about, you know. And I remember one instance where I don't know who threw, I was passing by a building up Albany Avenue and between President and Carroll again. It's like a big, tall, red brick building, and I was walking there, and suddenly a huge rock, this big, someone threw a huge rock, and it landed 2 feet away from me, from the roof. And it missed me by 2 feet, you know, and that was like really scary. I don't know who threw it, why they would throw it, you know, but after that, I did not walk on that block for many years, you know, because I don't know who in their right mind would throw a huge rock like that, you know what I mean? Like, it's just, I could have died, you know, in that day. I don't know why I lived, you know, but on that day I could have died. Another close to death close to fatal accident was when I was in Manhattan. I was going to meet a date, and I was crossing the road, and I was looking on the wrong side to see if the cars are coming. But I was looking at this side, but the cars were coming this way, you know. And I was a little bit like spaced out, you know. So Basically, I walked into the street because I thought there was no cars, and a big black car whizzed by me 2 inches from me, and it could have hit me, you know, and that was another close call, you know, dancing with death, you know what I mean? So those were like a few of my near-death experiences, you know. And the Jewish community suffers much more than any other minority in America because there's still a lot of anti-Semitism. Like, if you look at in the last year, how many Jewish synagogues were vandalized, and it was like a shooting in the shul in somewhere in America, which killed like 20 people or something, 20 Jewish people. But you don't have the Jewish people, you know, we get killed and everything. You don't have us rioting in the street and burning down. Hi, Rifki, Lefkowitz. burning down. You don't have the Jewish community. Tell me if you agree, Rifki. You don't have the Jewish community. I'll wave to you. You don't have the Jewish community running around like wild animals and burning down. Even wild animals, they don't burn nothing. They just hunt and they just kill for food, you know? But these people that are burning down cities and everything, like the Black Lives Matter, you know, after George Floyd was killed, you know, their behavior was billions of damage, billions of money, you know, property and like was damaged, and people were killed, you know, and Jewish communities don't do that. You know, you don't hear us crying all the time about anti-Semitism, or we don't play the victim card, you know, we don't do that, you know, we build ourselves up, you know, and that's the difference between the Jewish community and other minorities, you know, and the Jewish communities are the biggest minority in the world, you know, however paradoxical that seems, you know, the biggest minority, we are the smallest minority, basically, in the world, you know what I mean? My cat still didn't come back, you know? And, like, how many people in America, or worldwide, 20 million Jewish people worldwide, you know, not more. And we build ourselves up, and that's why we're so hated, because we don't cry victim. We fight when we need to, and we're smart enough to make ourselves. And that's one of I think that's one of the advantages that the Jewish people have over any other minority, is that because they study the Talmud and the Torah and the Mishnah, which is very if you study the Gemara, which is like the writings of the sages of the old times, like I remember when I was in seminary, we were learning the Mishnah, you know, and the Gemara, and it's so complicated. It's like studying law, you know? So naturally, it's in our DNA to be brainy. I'm not saying I'm brainy, because I'm not. You know, I'm Jewish, but I'm not the smartest out there. I've never really, I failed most of my tests, and I'm not really sure how high my IQ is, you know? There's one point where my nephew was getting, my sister's son, he was like 3, and he was getting tested for his IQ or whatever, and they were doing all these tests, you know? They're asking him about the shapes of the, you know, the shapes of the, whatever it is, you know? the shapes of different shapes and different questions, and he answered all of them. He knew what vertical was, he knew what pentagon was, he knew what hexagon was. And I'm sitting there, I'm like this 24-year-old girl, and I'm just like watching this, and I don't know most of the answers that he's answering, you know? And I was like, God, like, my IQ is even lower than a 3-year-old. But I think my nephew's actually pretty smart, you know? He has good genes, you know, from his mother and his father. But when I was watching him take this test, I was like amazed at his intellectual abilities, and I was ashamed about my own, you know? Yeah, so that's just to put into perspective the whole race thing and the whole anti-Semitism thing, you know? Like, the Jews are the most picked on people in the world, you know? Throughout history and throughout, even now in America, where we're the most free and the most, is barely any real anti-Semitism, you know, compared to like history and other countries. Like my coworker who just got engaged, he said that, excuse me, we were discussing like the anti-Semitism and the difference between the Middle Eastern countries and the countries in Europe, and he said that, you know, there's a lot of hostility that the Arabic people have in the other Middle Eastern countries towards the Jewish state, you know, and the Jewish people. But he said that, and we even did like, I was on this app where you can meet anyone in the world, and my coworker, he was wearing a kippah, you know, and we were speaking to random people, like all over, like we're speaking to people in Dubai, in Pakistan, in Afghanistan, all these places, you know, where there's like Arabic people, and they saw his kippah and they started cursing, and they would say things like, oh, I'm gonna fuck your girl. They thought I was his girlfriend, you know, because we were standing together and talking to them on the phone, and they thought that I was his girlfriend, so they want to disrespect him because he's wearing a kippah and he clearly looks Jewish, you know. So they were saying like, oh, I'm gonna fuck your girlfriend, you know, and I was just like standing there laughing because I'm like, okay, I'm not his girlfriend, you know. And they were like pretty hateful, oh, fucking Jew, you know. And some were actually nice, you know, but after we were having this discussion about, he said his experience in Europe was that, like, the Arabic people, they don't have the hatred, like, in their blood, you know, like the people in Europe, the European people, the Polish people, the Russian people, you know, all those people in those other countries, they look at you and they identify you as a Jew, and then they just hate you because you're a Jew, you know. And he said that's his experience in Europe. So that was like it's still, the hatred is not gone in Europe, you know. The hatred is very like, you know, those people go to where's that place for the Nachman? They go to Rabbi Nachman's grave, you know, and the hatred there in that area of the Jews is huge, you know, because it just is, you know. And, like, you have all these stories of like the Israelis going there or traveling through Russian customs, and they have their baggage, and the Russians, the Russians at the security, they took all the people's handbags where they keep their computers, their jewelry, everything, you know, because they don't put it underneath. And they said they're going to return it when they get to their destination. And it was just stolen. They never got it back, you know. So that's the interesting observation too. You know? And I was also discussing with my coworker yesterday His name is Danny. And I was like telling him how, like, if I would be doing what I'm doing here in Israel in any other country, I'd probably land up in a body bag, you know, somewhere in a garbage dump. But I feel like the Israeli society as a whole is not crazy, not that crazy. Yes, there's dangers, but people here are not so bad, you know, they're not so crazy. Also, it's like, here, it's a police state also, you know, it's like a police state. I told him, yeah, it's like you have the army, and then it's like a citizen army, and it's also like a police army, which is like a citizen police, you know, so it's kind of a police state. So I told him, yeah, I feel safe here, you know, like, as much as Israel has its issues with them, they're very rude and they have no manners, and the men are just schmuck, you know, from my experience. Like they're not they're not romantic, and they're not gentlemen. But oh my god, I had an awful dream. I'll tell you soon the dream. So he's like, yeah, he's actually from Holland, Dutch, you know, and he was saying that he feels safe in Israel, safer here than he does in Holland. That's what he was saying. And I was like, yeah, he has a point, you know, this place is I told him it's a police state, you know, we both agreed on that, you know. And there was another interesting thing was that I have another coworker talking about, like, disagreeing on everything. I have this coworker where we disagree on everything. Like, he's very woke, you know. He's very into the, like, I don't mean to put him down, but he's kind of, he believes there's more than two genders. Well, I argue, okay, gender is based on sex, you know, off of sex. You can't have more than two genders, because gender is based off of sex, you know. And he's like, no, gender is a social construct, but the social construct of the gender is based off of the female gender is based off female sex. The social construct of the female, and the male's gender is based off the social construct of the male gender. So there's no such a thing. I think there's such a thing as gender fluid, where you just don't know which gender you are, but there's no such thing as more than 1,000 genders. There's no such thing, you know. And so we, like, argue about things like that, and we disagree on everything. Like, we disagree on Trump, we disagree on everything. We disagree on our work, we disagree on autism, we disagree on everything. Yet we work really well together, you know. And he was saying that we disagree on, and we were talking to this new coworker of ours, and we were having this argument, and he was watching, and I was telling him, yeah, the guy's like, we disagree on everything, but we get along, you know? And I think that's an interesting observation as well, that, like, you know, you have a lot of couples in general that disagree on everything, but then they get along. Because I believe if you're both decent people, and you respect each other's views and opinions, and you accept each other, then if you're just a decent person, then it doesn't matter what you believe, you know, it's kind of, you'll get along and be able to do the job, what you need to do, you know, you'll be able to do the job you need to do if you're just decent humans. I had a dream. I'm going to tell you the dream now. I'm addicted. I need to take a shower, like I'm going to get in the shower in 5 minutes. I had a dream, oh my god, it was like a horrible dream, that I had this relationship with this guy, and I fell in love with him and everything, and I had a dream that, you know, I'm separated from him, and I'm not with him anymore, but I had a dream that my sister, she visited Israel, and then she basically was shopping for her wedding dress, and she needed help. So instead of calling me, she called this guy my ex, and basically he agreed to meet her, and then he had sex with her in my dream. She told me they had sex, and I was so angry. I was so angry at her. I was beating my sister up. Of course, it's a foolish dream because it would never and could never happen. But in my dream, I was so angry at my ex and so angry at her, and it was like a betrayal. It was like the weirdest dream ever, you know? And I had a dream that she made him, like, at the time he had a beard, and she made him shave it. And I'm like, you did that for her, but you wouldn't do it for me. Weird dream, you know? I think that's just, dreams are like what you think about in the day. But I would never think that, you know, my sister. It's just, I guess, anxiety and the fact that I was thinking about my ex yesterday, you know? Yeah. Again, the reason I have all my scratches is from my cats, and I'm still waiting for them to return. You know, it's kind of stressful when they don't come back, you know. I want to get a dog, a small dog. But, I feel like any dogs that I would try to get, the only dogs I can get is the one that I pay for, because all these other tiny dogs on Facebook, which are up for adoption, they get snatched up really quickly because people want small dogs. I don't understand that. You know, the reason I want a small dog is to fit into my studio apartment, because I can't have a big dog in this place because it's a studio. But all these other people that have big houses, like, I would, if I had a bigger house, like a place where I could run outside, I would have a huge German Shepherd, you know what I mean? Or like a huge Husky, or not a tiny dog, you know? But the tiny dogs are easier to control. You know, if you go outside, they won't be pulling you down the block on a leash, or potentially making you fall flat on your face and dragging you along. You know what I mean? Yeah. And, yeah. What else? So I need to go to work. And, I slept in this morning because I was just so tired, you know? I don't know, I just went back to sleep. I feel like I waste my time when I sleep because, like, I have so much to do, you know? Basically, I took those towels for my guinea pigs, which were all peed on and pooped on and everything, and I put it in, like, a basin with boiling water last night and soap, and I washed it, and I put them new towels, you know? And now the towels are drying in the shower. I hung it over. Like, basically, I have, even if I hand wash my clothes, I have nowhere to dry my clothes, you know? I had the same issue with, when I was in Shamron. I didn't have a washing machine, you know? So, and I lived in a trailer. So I would wash all my clothes by hand. It was hard. It was really hard, you know? I had neighbors that told me that I can use their washing machine, but I don't like to use people. Like, I'm kind of shy, you know? I don't like to ask for favors, or, you know, I like to just keep away from people, you know? Like, I have a neighbor that said I could use her laundry, her washing machine, but she's, like, really nice. Her name is, what's her name? Diana. Diana, you know? Yeah, back to the story with Meghan and Diana, you know? They say that, like, she says she doesn't know anything about Diana, but her friends, Meghan's friends that know her from before, knew that she would read all the books on Diana, and you know, she wanted to be Diana, and Meghan's a weird one. She is. She's a weird one. Oh gosh, I have these fans on the floor. This one is giving me cold air instead of hot air, you know? It's like going against the purpose. I want to be warm and it's shooting me cold air. I think it's kind of broken. Like it keeps going cold, hot, cold, hot, cold, hot, you know? And, oh god. My plant is dying. I don't know. I keep feeding it, but it keeps... The leaves are getting, like, shriveling up, you know? Sometimes I pass the stores which sell, like, flowers and you know, and I want to buy myself flowers, but then I'm like, I'm not going to spend 50 shekel on flowers. You know? The only time when I received flowers from a man is when I asked for it. You know? That's how unromantic the men here are. They're like, I've never received a flower in my life from a man. And one guy, I told him, if you want to see me, you need to bring me flowers. Because I'm a flower virgin. I never got flowers before from a man. So he brought me from his garden flowers. And I kept it for a time. And that man actually, he said he fell in love with me, which is weird. Like, I broke up with him because he's like a nomad. He wants to be like someone who wanders the world and does nothing. I mean, doesn't have a home. And he doesn't want responsibility and everything else. And my card said that he's unreliable. So I was like, you know what, screw him, you know. So I broke up with him, and he was so upset, and he kept contacting me, and then finally he's like, I'm in love with you, okay, I'm just going to delete your number. So he never contacted me again. But he said he was in love with me, and I was like, what? No man's ever been in love with me, you know? So that was interesting. This other guy, actually on my Instagram, he contacted me while I was doing a live stream here like I'm doing now, and he said he lives in a lot, so he said he would come here to see me yesterday, and he never did. But I have a feeling he's just a playboy, because he told me he used to do like erotic acting. He used to act in erotica, you know. I guess he was like a porn actor, you know, and he has like whatever. And he's like, yeah, I keep my word. I say I'm coming, I'll contact you. Bullshit. That's what kind of the men we have here in Israel. You know, they say one thing and they don't do. He's like, yeah, you're beautiful, you're so hot, you have like milky skin, you have great lips, I want to kiss you, blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, yeah, fuck off, you know. And I'm right. He never contacted me, you know, so that's the story with Israeli men. To end off on a good note, how can I end off on a good note? Yesterday, I made myself barley, which was really filling and really easy to make, so I think that's going to be my staple diet now. Barley, it's easier to make than rice, even. So, I think I'm going to just start eating barley from now on. It's nutritional, and it's simple to make, and you can make it really tasty. And that's it, you know? So, I hope you have a lovely day. Ricky Lefkowitz, my only audience. And have a good day. Bye-bye. How do I exit? Leave. End it.